In the first video of this series, I mentioned that for us, financial stability was a long time coming. I'd like to revisit that thought to tell you how we found it. We attended Dave Ramsey's Financial Peace University a while ago, and after following his advice, we have indeed found financial peace and stability. If you go to your internet browser and search for Financial Peace University, then look for Find an FPU class, or you can use this QR code. They will help you find a class near you. Costs vary a little from around $70 to $130, depending on where you go and what additional resources you want to access. We found it to be more than worth the cost. I am not being compensated for this endorsement. I just believe in the process so much, I really want to share it with others. Okay, now let's get started with the general principles for selecting and using spiritual practices. General principles? Gotta salute them generals. A good starting point is for me to define what I mean by spiritual practices. One of the best metaphors to help define that is the farmer or gardener. By the way, do you know what a farmer is? That's a person outstanding in their field. The farmer or gardener's primary task is to make sure conditions are right to grow the plants they want. Some of the things they might do include tilling the soil to kill weeds and loosen up the soil so the plant's roots can easily penetrate. They could add fertilizer to make sure that the plants can easily find all the nutrients they need. They should closely watch the moisture content of the soil and water it if it gets too dry. They might also need to do things to protect the plants from insects or plant diseases. And of course, weed control is a constant concern. The farmer or gardener can do a lot to make sure the plants have the best conditions possible for their growth. But only God can cause the growth. Jesus used a similar metaphor in the parable of the sower in Mark 4, verses 3 through 8 and 13 through 20. Listen. A farmer went out to sow his seed. As he was scattering the seed, some fell along the path, and the birds came and ate it up. Some fell on rocky places where it did not have much soil. It sprang up quickly because the soil was shallow, but when the sun came up and the plants were scorched, then they withered because they had no root. Other seed fell among thorns, which grew up and choked the plants, so they did not bear grain. Still other seed fell on good soil. It came up, grew, and multiplied, producing a crop, some 30, some 60, some 100 times. Then Jesus said to them, "Don't you understand this parable? How then will you understand any parable? The farmer sows the word. Some people are like seed along the path where the word is sown. As soon as they hear it, Satan comes and takes the word away that was sown in them. Others, like seed sown on rocky places, hear the word and at once receive it with joy, but since they have no root, they only last a short time. When trouble or persecution comes because of the word, they quickly fall away. Still others, like seed sown among thorns, hear the word, but the worries of this life, the deceitfulness of wealth, the desires for other things come in and choke the word, making it unfruitful. Others, like seed sown on good soil, hear the word, accept it, and produce a crop, some 30, some 60, some 100 times what was sown. In his parable, Jesus is telling us that our lives are the soil in which spiritual growth takes place. Spiritual practices are the things we can do to make sure the soil of our lives has the best conditions possible for that spiritual growth to take place. Spiritual practices can be anything that we do on a regular basis that remind us of our relationship with the Lord, help us better understand what's taught in the scriptures, assist us in practicing Christian principles in our life, or strengthen our communion with the Lord. The list I have provided here is not all-inclusive. I put it in the ones I could think of, but you may know of or be able to discover other things that will be helpful for you, depending on what God is calling you to do Spending too much time on spiritual practices may be possible. Unless God is calling you to a monastic life, you will need to create an appropriate balance between your relationship with the Lord, your family, your workplace, and the other people in your life. Each of these relationships requires that we spend some time on them. Most of us lead such hectic, overscheduled lives that any changes to our schedule will need to be carefully considered, since we may have to give up something we're already doing in order to fit in something new. Ultimately, you get to decide the order of importance you want to apply to each of your relationships. At first, I thought it would be easy to arrange this list in order of importance. The first three were easy to identify. Total surrender of our will has to be the starting point. We must step down from the throne of our lives and invite the Lord to take his rightful place, or none of the rest of this will do any good. In Romans 12, verse 1, Paul tells us, "Therefore I urge you, brothers and sisters, in view of God's mercy, to offer your bodies as a living sacrifice, holy and pleasing to God. This is your true and proper worship." Of course, as a living sacrifice, we are too often prone to crawling off the altar. Even if we do, we can always crawl back on. Prayer is second, because that is the engine that drives the process of discerning which spiritual practices the Lord is leading you into. Bible reading or study is third, because that is our reference book on the spiritual life. You cannot learn how to live a spirit-centered life unless you are intimately familiar with what the scriptures say. As I thought about the rest of the list, I realized the most important spiritual practice for any person is the one the Lord is calling them to get involved with. Each of us is different, and the Lord deals with us in light of our uniqueness. As a result, the order of the practices appear in is merely the order in which I thought of them. I recommend considering this list prayerfully. Ask the Lord to guide you as you go through it. If you find something in that list that interests you, consider the time required for it and how making the time for it would impact your schedule. Do you need to give something up, or can you just rearrange your schedule a little to fit it in? Don't expect immediate results when you first start a new spiritual practice. Remember, we're trying to enhance the conditions necessary for spiritual growth to take place. Spiritual growth is a process that takes time and continues throughout our lifetime. I also recommend periodically reviewing all of your spiritual practices. After a while, it may be time to add a new one or drop one that doesn't seem to be helpful. You may even need to drop an old one in order to find time to try a new one. In all cases, be sure to consider this change carefully and prayerfully. Ask the Holy Spirit to guide you in making your decision.